if you're seeing this, then that means it's Tarot Tuesday. And this is your message. Welcome. My name is Lara. If you've been here before, hi. Welcome back. If you've never been here, we're so happy to have you. We are taking a look at the next 7 days today for our Tarot Tuesday. We are here, where are we in the space-time continuum? We're here on Tuesday with a liquid U. This is my acting teachers always said. So Tuesday, October 22nd in 2024. It does not need to be Tuesday for you to find this video. These messages are timeless. So whenever you're finding them is exactly when you're meant to hear them, whether it's on Tuesday, within the next 7 days, a month from now, a year from now, you can trust that this is here for you exactly when you need it. So take whatever you like, leave the rest. This is a general reading. Keep that in mind. So we're looking at an overall energy for everyone who's coming to the reading. This looks like different things for different people in different areas of their life. So if we're not super specific, that's going to be why, but it's all the same patterns, energy, themes that we're dealing with as a collective of people who have found this video. Okay? So yay! I'm so excited. It has been an interesting month. Okay, if you pay attention to this channel here, you probably, maybe you did, maybe you didn't realize that the full moon messages for our elemental signs did not come out. And that was because I was up to my eyeballs in work out in the world, which is great, but it didn't give me a lot of time to sit down and focus on making videos for everyone. But that's okay, because we're doing it. We're working towards it. At this point in time, there's a lot of building behind the scenes that I'm working on. So, but you can expect that for the most part, just in general, my life is sort of falling into place a little bit. I'm going to get more of a routine. I just got to get myself out of spooky season because, as you may imagine, as a tarot card reader, October is my busiest month. So, I'm at the tail end of I think it's 22 days in a row working, but I'm so grateful because this is such fulfilling work for me. And I'm just so grateful. So grateful. So anyway, despite the absolute utter chaos that is this world. Okay. So I hope that's something that you're resonating with. If it's not, that's okay. We're all going through our things. We just entered Scorpio season, so get ready and this time of year, the veil just gets very thin. It is a time of introspection. It's a time of being more in touch with the other realm. That's why we have, spooky holidays and remembrance holidays. So, it's all aligned with the times. This is the season of the shadow work. So, but we are on this Tuesday, the 22nd. We're just a few days past our full moon in Aries energy. So we'll talk a little bit about that included with our astrology. Then we'll dive into the cards and then we will go off and explore into the world and see what that means for us. So yes, as far as what's going on astrologically speaking, we had on the October the 17th, we had our full moon in Aries, which was a super full moon. This is the first full moon out of eclipse season. So we had a few eclipses in there the last month, or I think it was a full moon and a new moon. We're out of the eclipse season is my point. So this moon, not only as a super moon is it bigger and brighter, it was probably the brightest that it was of all the super moons as well. So super intense energy. Full moons are a time of reflecting. They are also, it's when the moon is at its peak. So the moon is giving off the most light. So it's the clearest that we're going to see in the darkness. It's a great opportunity also. We use the full moon as a harvest point So it also it was the harvest moon in the wheel of the year, which is huge. So this is harvest is, you know, this is where you go out into the fields, the seeds that you have been planting, the seeds that have started to grow and produce whatever they're producing. This is where you take what's ripe and ready. This is where you prune away dead leaves, make room for more growth. And it's the halfway point in the lunar cycle until we get to another new moon. So hugely reflective, but also a lot of energy just as far as like reassessing those intentions and those manifestations that were set at the beginning of the lunar month with the new moon. And it's an opportunity also to pivot in different directions. As far as the energy of the moon itself, it was in the sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So this is super fiery energy. It is independent. It's also maybe a little inexperienced in its ways, but it's an energy. Its inexperience comes from the fact that no one else has paved this path before. It is Aries who gets the path started as far as the astrological signs. So it is bold, it is fiery, it is intense. I personally am an Aries moon. So an Aries moon under a full Aries moon, super moon, it was a lot. It was a lot. Shedding layers, letting a lot of things go, grieving all kinds of things, grieving all kinds of people who are with or without us in this realm. It's been wild. But so anyway, so that's the energy we're just sort of, that sort of energy is integrating. It's sort of shifting and fading away at this point. We have, as far as the rest of the week, we just entered Scorpio season, so we're leaving Libra, we're moving into Scorpio. And we also have, let's see, there's a lot of other things that are happening. Pluto has stationed direct. Yes, Pluto is stationed direct and is now moving into Aquarius, where it was spending some time in retrograde in Capricorn. So a lot of things, a lot of these planets that we have been working with their energy in retrograde for a long time, these outer planets, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, these are all starting to go direct. So a lot of this reflecting that we've been doing for the last few months really is now sort of like, okay, I can see what this was. Now, which direction are we heading off into? So lots of things going on. And yes, lots of things playing out in the world, which are just like on point with a lot of the astrology. But as far as the week ahead, that's kind of what I've got. There's going to be other things that are coming up. But as far as like major things, mostly I'm paying attention to the moon, just full disclosure. Sometimes I know things about other signs. I do also know that Venus has entered Sagittarius. So that is also really interesting energy as well. Sagittarius energy being the philosopher, the adventurer, the hunter as well. So interesting that we have Venus in Sagittarius after we've gone through this hunter's full moon. Yeah. So that's kind of what's happening with the astrology. And I won't speak too much more on that because that's kind of all I know. You know what I mean? I'm just out here trying to live just like everybody else. So, but it's good to get an idea of what energies are happening. It's kind of like knowing, it's like checking the weather before you walk out of the door. Do I need an umbrella today? No. Is my life going to feel like it's crashing down around me because this planet's doing something? Great. Just good to know. Yes. Okay. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. I have the usual suspects here with us today. We have our Oracle of Mystical Moments. We're going to pull an Oracle card, see if we can key into some of the themes that we're going to be working with over the next 7 days. I also have my Spicy Oracle as well. We'll pull a couple of those, see what they have to say, and then we'll look at some tarot and see if we can make some kind of sense of what's here. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our first deck, and just want to ask, please and thank you, if we could have a clear and concise message for us as we are moving through the next 7 days. Okay, so right off the bat, ooh, so we have night and day that's come out here. So interesting. This is so interesting. I have like a weirdly personal association with this card, but it is really a lot about the union of opposites here. Like night and day, these are two sides of the same coin. We have this figure sitting here who is in fact positioned and holding on to the sun. Sort of, for me, that's like the future, right? Where we're moving into, but still sort of looking over their shoulder, maybe at the past, maybe at the things that they have let go along the way. Really beautiful imagery here. I'm going to go ahead and just read out of the little book. Also, it's the number 1. If the number 1 is significant, it happens to be significant for me today, but doesn't have to be for you. But yes. Okay. And also we were talking about Aries energy. So number 1 is like coming up for me. Okay, here we go. Day and night, uncertainty, fear, worries, decisions to be made. Follow your instinct. Okay. The girl we see on this card is holding the sun in her hands while the moon is at her back. She looks uncertain, as if she has a question in mind but does not know the answer. What is she thinking about? Is she afraid of the answer or the inward process to find it? Many of us struggle with making decisions, but where there is shadow, there is also light. After a dark night, there is always the light of the morning, warming the path we have chosen. This card reminds us that we already hold all the answers in our hands. Yes. We should trust our inner judgment and know we will be able to handle any situation. Okay, so I'm glad I did read that, because now I'm also picking up on facing fears. Facing fears through standing in our authenticity. Does that make sense? Facing our fears head on while remaining confident in ourselves. That's kind of what I'm picking up on. But let's keep going. Let's see what else we have. So we've got our spicy oracle. Okay. I'm going to grab 3 here. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. That's it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And what do we have? Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so with the day and night, we're talking about fears. We're talking about uncertainty. With our spicy oracle, what we have right off the bat is we have bad influence. Okay. We have you're so my type. Don't I know it? And we also have double dare you. I'm getting this sense that there may be some challenges this week of there's almost like this temptation to go back to these bad influences. Okay? Something within that subconscious space. This could represent itself as a person, place, thing. This could also represent itself as a behavior. Okay? In extreme cases, we may be talking about addictive tendencies. That's super specific, but a lot of us do struggle with addictions in our own way. And I'm no stranger to any of that. But there's also here with our last spicy oracle, we have double dare you. So and we have the way that the have come out here. We have 2 Diablos and a fire. So it's almost as if that Diablo, that devil, is daring you to dance with that fire or play with that fire. Ooh, this is coming for me, y'all. But it's good. This is how we grow. Okay? So yeah. What's that thing? I already know what mine is. I already know who mine is. God. What is that thing? That, like, why do you keep going back there? You know? Whether it's physically going back there or if it's more of a metaphor. What is it that you're leaning on? Why are we leaning on it? What fear is there? What uncertainty, right? When we already have everything we need in the palm of our hands to overcome this shadow. Overcome feels like a strong word. I actually want to say overcome. I want to say like acknowledge or affirm and integrate. I feel like, okay, I said overcome. I think that's for a very specific reason. I think whatever it is for you, this bad influence that is such your type that, you know, you're feeling like, I dare you kind of, you know, to go back there. Overcome is sort of that idea that it is, that it's something that can be, overcome almost sounds like you're fixing a thing, right? When I think it's more about like recognizing that it is the challenge. And it's a continued process of working on it, especially if we're talking about like something that's really like strong, like addictive tendencies. And I struggled with this a lot. I'm going to use myself in it as an example. Some of you may know, some of you may not, but I have spent a lot of my life in and out of certain 12-step programs because I've struggled with different addictive behaviors and compulsive and addictive behaviors. Ultimately, it was less about whatever I was using. I would use anything to just like not feel the pain. But once that pain was faced, those fears and those uncertainty and that pain, and mostly it was grief, okay? It was just grief that I had never felt before. And I'm still working on feeling it. You see it coming? But a lot of it was, you know, there was this message that I got in those programs, and not saying that these programs were very helpful and absolutely helped save my life 100%. But, you know, you got to take things with a grain of salt. The system itself is a very old system written by men from the 1920s. Okay. It was a very different time. And it was, for me, it was a lot about like, oh, you just got to stop doing the thing. You just stop doing the thing. And then, of course, there's this process of like working on yourself. But the idea that you were in your healing, you were working your steps, you were in your program, and to slip back, that was like, oh, that's, well, then I can't. And I had experiences where, you know, I had big slips that after years of sobriety, excuse me, big slips that changed my life and destroyed my life in certain ways. And being in that program, to have certain people, not all people, but certain people be like, well, I can't help you because, you know, the idea of falling back on that, was, you know, well, like, you just don't want it bad enough. and there's a thing that they say in those programs that like this will work for some people and it won't work for others. I think for me, it's not that it worked in certain ways. For me though, it was really more about, there was a different way because it was deeper with me. It was like addressing the trauma, like the addictions themselves formed out of this grief and this trauma. Right. So, and even today, it's not something that I have to struggle with on a regular, even daily basis necessarily, but absolutely certain things come up. I had a situation earlier this year where it was, I had someone passed away. It was a huge loss. It triggered a lot of things for me because this is someone I knew when I was like very active in my addiction, and it was very tragic. And this person was in a lot of pain. And the grief was huge. And I was alone dealing with the grief. And I started to slip a little. And luckily I have I have done the work enough that I was like, okay, this is like, I understand why this is happening, but this is not happening anymore. Because this is not something that works. This is not something that's safe. And I made a commitment to myself to keep myself safe and take care of myself. So that long story, just to say that, sometimes we shame ourselves too much with a slip, but sometimes that temptation comes up for a reason because there's things around it that still need to be worked out. Okay. To make a long story short. All right. So that's what I'm picking up on already. Let's go ahead and see what the cards say and see what they say about how we're going to move through this energy. Because also I'm not getting an energy of something like I used extreme case scenarios for me, and it may be more extreme and more painful for you right now, but I'm not getting the sense that I'm getting the sense that this is part of your healing journey. These things, these triggers, they come up so that we can look at them. We make our own choices, but they come up for a reason because these are the lessons we're learning over and over and over in very different ways. Okay, so let me grab our tarot here and we're going to get into it. We're going to pull 3 cards. We're going to see what we got. And yes, so could we please have 3 cards to show us what we have to expect for the next 7 days for everyone who's coming to this video? That's number 1. Thank you. Interesting. Number 2. Thank you. Wow. Yes. And can we do one more card, please? Thank you so much. Woo! Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. It's going to be a big week, y'all. I'm just going to say it right there. What we've got on the table doesn't look like it's going to feel great, but what we have coming up through the subconscious is such beautiful energy. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start where we always start. We're going to start at that shadow card. So our shadow card representing our subconscious, we have the Hierophant here. Okay. So whether, this is in the space of our subconscious. So this could be an archetype coming from within you. I would almost put money on that, but it could also, the universe and our subconscious are constantly speaking to us through the people around us. So this may also represent someone in your life, a mentor, someone you look up to who has done the work, who has walked the path, right? But this is someone who is helping. This is a force that's helping you on your way. Okay. So this could be a physical person, but I'm also picking up that it may be a spirit guide. If there is spiritual leader that is in your spirit team, someone who is on that spiritual path, who has access to higher knowledge. But it still is up to you to climb those steps. But someone who is here to support you on that journey. There's an energy of that coming through. Yeah. Spiritual support. Yeah. So that's what's coming through first and foremost. Beneath that, we have the Magician. Okay? So we already talked about already having everything in your hands. And that's similar with the Magician. And I think with this energy of this mentor or spiritual leader or whoever it is that you're looking up to, whatever it is that you're looking up to, it's really helping to reinforce this idea that you already have access to everything you need to create the reality that you desire. The Magician also understands that they do not need to force anything. It's a manipulation of energy, yes, but they already understand that they are everything inside. So it's really just about tapping in and accessing what is already within you. Okay? If you've also ever done any work in 12-step, this is giving like sponsor vibes. So what's coming up is, how are we, I'm picking up on a lot of strength with both of these cards here. Right? Strength to face what is coming up. And it's going to feel like with the Knight of Swords in reverse, maybe we'll get some mixed messages coming forward, but maybe it feels like we're not heading off in the right direction. Maybe it feels like we're not making progress, or we're sort of, what word? Halted is coming up, but that doesn't feel like it makes sense. It's like we feel like we're prevented from moving forward, perhaps. But the reason for that is there's a lot of this grief. There's a lot of loss that we're releasing. We're really... That this is what is holding us back. This release of this grief, these feelings of loss. The fear of that is what's getting in the way of the happy ending that we're going after with the 10 of Cups. That emotional fulfillment, that life that we dream of, okay? Whatever that means for you. All right? But we have everything we need to move through it. So I'm hearing the choice is yours for whatever that's worth, for whoever that's for. And okay, so that's all underneath the surface of this week. Weirdly enough, I feel like it's hugely supportive. So that's good news. And a lot of bright energy coming up from the shadow of the subconscious, interestingly enough. Whereas what we have on the table really doesn't feel like it looks like that. So, but again, this is all par for the course. This is what we have on deck. So what do we have for, what are we looking forward to for this week? We have the 5 of Swords here in the reverse position. So there is an element of cutting our losses, of releasing the pain of maybe some opportunity that did not work out, something where someone else seemed to come in and take something from you. We're letting a lot of that energy go. In the process, we have the Tower card. So it's going to feel chaotic, but we can trust that this is all coming down. It's divinely inspired. It's divine intervention. whatever it was, even if we were hoping for it, it was not a solid foundation for us. It needs to go. It's not serving us. But there will be a lot of pain in that process with the Three of Swords. This, however, I mean, there is some heartache with that, with the Three of Swords. But again, we're talking about a swords energy, and swords are really our thoughts, our communication. So I think I'm picking up on being really careful about the ways in which we're communicating to ourselves this week. The way that we, like, our self-talk. Excuse me, I burped. That may be confirmation. But also with this card, sometimes, yes, it's painful and we're honoring that pain. But a lot of this pain is coming from a mindset. It's coming from our thoughts. So putting it all together, I feel like maybe there's some pattern of self-talk, beliefs that we have in our mind coming to light that, like, this is ready to go. Is not going to be a clean and easy break by any means. And there will be pain, but knowing that this pain is coming up to be felt through, number one. And how much of this pain is because maybe there's ruminating around the situation, especially if there's, like, maybe someone involved. This could be a love situation. I'm not necessarily picking that up. If it is, it may be like there's a third party involved. That's super specific for certain people. That's not going to be everybody. Okay. But generally speaking, maybe it's someone else's voice in your head. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is I hear people's voices in my head, and I've been working a lot over the last year, 2 years. I don't even know. Now that I've done the work to distance myself from these people so that I can heal, it's almost as if I'm still noticing the ways in which I'm living for them because their voice is still in my head. Okay? And on some tiny, deep little level, that's still affecting the way that I'm operating in the world. And that's something that, you know, when we're living in our authenticity, we can't continue to think about, like, oh, what would they think? Oh, you know, at a certain point, you have to get out there and you have to live your life. And the reason you distance yourself was because they didn't appreciate that about you anyway. So why are you still letting them live in your head rent-free? And I think that's the element of it, but also being very easy on yourself in the process. This is not an easy road to walk down, but what your shadow cards are telling you is that you are supported in this. You have that spiritual support, that mentorship. Lean into that, whatever that looks like for you, and you have everything you need. All right? To move through this energy. So, did that make sense? It's kind of making sense for me. Sometimes, like, I have to live through the week too before I find out what the tarot reading is meant to be. So for me, you know, but anyway, so that's what I see. I hope this was helpful. I hope it makes sense. You'll have to let me know. Leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. I'm so excited to be back and doing these readings. I love it so much. So I hope this is helpful for you. There's all kinds of information down below. If you're curious about me, what I do, I'm up to all kinds of crazy things. So you feel free to reach out, and I do personal readings. If you're interested in that, please let me know. Otherwise, this is what we got. It's gonna be a week, but I think, I feel good about us. Because despite what's happening, I think we know who supports us and we know who we are. And we're working on it. All right. And it is so courageous to be in this in-between place. So take that for whatever it's worth. All right. Well, good luck to us all. And I will see you on the other side.